Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, my sons. Welcome, my dear brothers. Welcome, my big brothers and you little brothers. I welcome you all. This is The Conversation with Pastor Strike. Just want to say once more, thank you so very much for tuning in. And it's a wonderful day. This week, the president has just announced the relaxation of the measures, especially when it comes to church gatherings. And we just appreciate that. But we continue with the conversation because, friends, the conversation will continue as God helps us. It is my desire that we'll be able to empower each other through this platform, that we'll be able to engage through this platform and work toward a better world, starting with a better family, a better community, a better environment in the workplace, a better province, and a better nation. All this is possible because I know the power that you and I carry as men. It reminds me of a story of this philosopher who was busy with his work in his office, and this little boy always came and troubled him, asking question after the other. And he thought to himself, I cannot discourage my little boy, but what can I do to keep him busy so that I'm able to concentrate? And all of a sudden he looked at the wall of his office. He saw one of the world maps, which he knew he's got a new one, so it's no problem. Then he took it, tear it apart, and said, my boy, I know you're a smart guy. I want you to put together this map. And as soon as you're done, you must call me. So he took it, he went out, tear it apart in the boy's playroom, and then leave it there and said, boy, you put it together, and when you're done, please let me know. To his surprise, the boy, in the nick of a time, he came knocking, Dad, I'm done. And the father said, are you sure? He said, yes, I'm done. He said, okay, I'm coming to see. And he went only to find truly the boy had put together the map. And he said, son, that's brilliant. How did you do it? And the boy said, you know what, Dad? While I was struggling with it, I realized behind the map was a picture of a man. So I turned it around, put men together, or put the picture of a man together, and then I knew. Now he sorted and I turned it around. How true this is. When a man get together, when man is fixed, then the world is fixed. Why? Because the man is the foundation of the human race. I must be honest with us, friends. It's mind-boggling to just to think that we as nations invest so much in ammunition. We've got fighter planes, we've got all tankers, we've got all these horrible machines. As nations, we have defense armies. Guess what? We're not ready to defend ourselves from aliens. We're not ready to defend ourselves from animals. No, we're ready to defend ourselves from men, from humans. And guess what? Most of them are men, M-A-N. Man as for male man. Now, friends, that tells you, if we have to get the world right, please let us not shift the ball game, but let us focus on it and let us know that you and I, we are the candidates of being world changers. And it is my desire, friends, it is my desire and my plea, brothers, that let us make our mark. We may not get it done during our time, but you know what? We can make a mark. We can make a mark, and then our sons, our grandchildren will be able to take it forward. What will we leave behind the day we go? Remember, everything that we do for ourselves, it might be academically or otherwise, when we die, we go with it. It is only that which we do for others which will remain. And I plead with each one of us to be concerned about the next generation. There's a king in the Bible. His name is Hezekiah. This guy he made history. He postponed his death date. The prophet of God came to him and said, Hezekiah, put your house in order, for this sickness is going to kill you. You are going to die. This was a prophet of God telling him, God says, put your house in order because you are going to die. And he said, thank you, Mr. Prophet. When the prophet left his house, he cried bitterly before God. He brought before God all the good things that he has done. He said, Lord, remember this. Remember that he brought evidence before God. And then he pleaded, why should I die? Why should I die now? And then God, he heard his cry. And he said to the prophet, go and tell him, I'll give him 15 more years. And God gave him 15 more years. He postponed his death date. But guess what? After he was healed, he never gave glory to God. And because of that, the prophet came and said, because he had welcomed an entrance from Babylon, and he showed them everything in his household and even in the temple of God, the gold, all the treasuries. And the prophet came to him and said, who were those? And he said, these are Babylonians. And he said, what did they see? He told them they saw everything. I showed them everything in the house of the Lord, even in my house. But he did not tell them, because they came to celebrate with him because they heard that he was healed. You know, and because they were pagan kings, and when God said to Hezekiah was going to heal him, he said the sun will move back by so much. And when these pagan kings who worshipped the sun saw that, they concluded that Hezekiah was healed by their God, the sun God. And because of that, they came to celebrate with him. But Hezekiah did not bless God. And that is why God was displeased by him. And then the prophet came and said, oh, what they have seen, they are coming to take it all. But that is another thing. He then said, and your children will become eunuchs and serve in the foreign land. You know what King Hezekiah said? He said, the word of the Lord is good, as long as it does not happen in my day. I'm scared of such a man who says, as long as it does not happen during my lifetime. I'm concerned about what happens when I'm not here. While I'm here, I can take the punches. I cannot say, I don't care, it will happen to my sons. No, I'm concerned about what is going to happen to my sons. I'm concerned about what is going to happen to my grandsons. And I'm saying, as men, as the foundation of the human race, you are the foundation, my friend. You are the foundation, my father, of your own family. There is a nation that God has trusted you with. I started a nation. I've got 3 boys. Now one of my boys has got a son. This is my nation that God has entrusted me with. I'm concerned about this nation. I'm concerned about the future of this nation. That is why I want to take responsibility in shaping the future, shaping the tomorrow that my sons must walk in, the future that my grandchildren must realize. That is why the word of God even says, a righteous man, I can even put it and say, a responsible man leaves inheritance for his children's children. Not only for my children should I leave inheritance, but I must leave inheritance even for my children's children. I must create generational wealth. I must create generational prosperity. I must be able to say, poverty stops with me, and that is what I vowed. That is what I prayed for. That is what I'm working toward. I said, poverty stops with me. My children will not taste poverty. My grandchildren will not taste poverty, because I don't want them to inherit poverty. I want to deal with it. And that is another thing when it comes to inheritance. But there is something that is also important. That is a legacy. What is it that I'm leaving? What character traits am I showing them? What will they learn from my life, from how I conduct myself? Because that is very much important. Will they know why I worked, why I came this far? Will they know what carried me? Will they be proud when I'm dead? When they look around, when they hear of those things that they had never heard before? That is why I say, my friends, you and I, let us be involved, or let us be in the conversation and do something. Now, the last episode that we heard, I received quite a number of comments, and these comments, I must be honest, they prompted me to dive deeper, or to look and zoom into the relationship between fathers and sons. Because what I've realized is that, you and I, more especially guys of my age, we are victims of the migrant labor era and the apartheid era. That is, we did not have the benefit of living with our fathers, because our fathers had to go and work very far to fend for the family. And sometimes they'll come back once in a year. And those of us who had fathers at home, we were not even proud of our fathers, because our fathers were ridiculed or were stigmatized as Bamahalela, and you will not be proud of that, except for those whose fathers were maybe policemen, maybe rangers, or teachers, or clerks, at least. But that is a very small percentage. But most of us of my age, we coming from that background, and the results of this migrant labor and the apartheid era, is that our fathers ended up starting families even where they were working. And because of such families, you find that children back in the village will not be taken care of like children where our fathers were. And that created a lot of animosity. Some of them, even now, you don't have a relationship with your siblings from your younger mother or from the other mother. Why? Because of the anger, the bitterness, how you were treated. Because sometimes you were left with mom to fend for yourself, which was not that good. And sometimes we had even to, in fact, daddy left when there were two hearts. And guess what? Mama had to work and do all these things and make sure that she builds the home. And daddy was not coming, and that's why most of us of my age, we do not know the love of the father. We are angry with our fathers. We are disappointed of our fathers. We do not relate with our brothers, our fathers' children, because of the setup that prevailed. And when daddy was old, when he was sick, when he was helpless, they pushed there, and all we knew is to bury him. That is why you just come when you are finished. That's why in most communities back then, you have men who will just be lingering around even without a family, because Africans, we've got a way of taking care of each other. You just find that he lives with his siblings, or he lives in his father's house, but he's just a man. He does not have a wife, does not have children. Why? Because when he went away because of migrant labor, he had families there, and they loved him for what he had, and at the end of the day, they kicked him out when he did not have anything. That is why, and this, I know ladies, they've got a way of tuning into this program. I want to say to all ladies, if you disrespect your mother-in-law, I want you to know, even if your husband might smile or seem like he's okay with it, he's not okay with it. Take it from me, he is not okay with it. Why? Because you don't know where he comes from with this old lady. You don't know the sacrifices that this woman has done. Some of these mothers, they've worked in the farms, they've done all these things, they've built a family when daddy was nowhere to be found. And now I'm grown, Now I'm a professional. Now I work for myself. Now I'm married. And when you look at my mother like she's a piece of dirt or she's a witch, I must be honest with you, your husband is not happy. Not even happy. Take it from me. Your husband is not happy. He might be smiling, but it's only that he does not know what to do because he wants to build a family. But I can tell you, that is why some of the ladies who do that, what you don't know is that you have broken the heart of your husband. And these things which I don't advocate, these are some of the things that will make your husband have extramarital affairs or even leave you. And you ask yourself, what wrong have I done? Because you've disrespected his mother. That was just for you guys who, you ladies who have got your mother-in-law and you troubling that old lady. You say, you don't know where she comes from with her son. She has done a lot. And now that you have got children also, are you aware how much it takes to raise a child? 9 months being pregnant, feeding this little thing, taking care of this little, spending sleepless nights. That's exactly what your mother-in-law did to your husband. So please, ladies, if by chance you're watching, correct that. And because of this, friends, one of my brothers, after our episode of our show last week, said, you know what, Pastor, when my father died, when I had to pay my last respect and put the soil into the grave, you know what I did? I took a stone and hit the coffin. Elderly people said, what's wrong with this boy? Is he mad? What is happening? And he said, you know what? My father used to beat me by anything he can pick up. Now, that is what I know of my dad. So even when he's lying there in the coffin, I thought, here's a stone, let me hit him. Let me hit him. Just like that. Because that's what he has left. He left violence. He left that type of an atmosphere. And this, friends, is the reality of what we face as men. And one of them, I think when I met him, he was around 16 years. And he is a foreign national. He came to South Africa very young. And he always showed me a bush where he used to sleep. And he slept there for 3 nights. And the day he came to church, I said, guys, please let's sing a song, I love you with the love of the Lord. And after that I said, I love you guys with the love of God. And he says, that was the first time I could hear somebody saying they love me. This is reality. This is what we face. Now from that, we agree as men that something must be done. That's one thing for sure. We agree that something must be done for the sake of our sons, for the sake of our daughters, and for the sake of our grandchildren. Something must be done. And we cannot let things go on like this. And we cannot keep blaming our parents. We must let the bygones be bygones. But we must do something. You know, we must not repeat the mistakes of our fathers, and we must not repeat the evil that our fathers have done, knowing very well that, you know what, the seeds that we sow, there's going to be a harvest. And in order for us to change the harvest, we must be able to change the seed. So it is very much important for us to do something different so that we are sowing better seeds, different seeds for a better harvest. Some of the gentlemen, of course, they said, Pastor, it's important that there be a forum where ladies are being addressed. I agree with that 100%. I really agree with that. And that is going to happen. But you know what? Now I'm concentrating on us establishing the conversation and opening up and dealing with things that trouble us. And I conclude after our last episode that there is a need for healing. There's a serious need for healing of men. Because when a man is not healed, he becomes very dangerous. And of course, you know, friends, that to be male or female, it's a biological reality. But to be a man, it's a choice. So we have to choose to be men. You have to rise up, you have to do something to be man, not just to be male. And that is what is very much important. And believe you me, even right on this platform, I don't have a problem with us inviting ladies, and begin to address things. And when I talk like this, guys, don't think I don't know the challenges that you have and the challenges that you go through. I've never married an angel. I married a woman. I married a person like you. Like you've married a person, and I know the things that I've gone through, the mistakes that we've had, the struggles that we've had. Now it's 32 years. I thank God for my wife, but I must be honest, my wife is not an angel like your wife is not an angel, and like I'm not an angel and like you're not an angel. But what I'm talking about is about us being able to rise up, being able to do something, being able to take the bull by its horn. Now, I want us to read the book of Nehemiah, which book we spoke or we read last week, and I said we'll continue from, because that's where I want us to extract something that we are going to look at today. And the book of Nehemiah, chapter number 1, verses 1 to 4, it says, "The words of Nehemiah, the son of Hilkiah, it came to pass in the month of Chislev, in the 20th year, as I was in Shushan, the citadel, that Hanan, one of my brethren, came with other men from Judah. And I asked them concerning the Jews who had escaped, who had survived the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said to me, the survivors who are left from the captivity in the province are there in great distress and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates are burned with fire. So it was that when I heard these words, that I sat down." This is his response after he heard the words of this gentleman Hanani and the brothers. He said, "I sat down and wept and mourned for many days, and I fasted and prayed before the God of heaven." You see, he said, "I fasted and prayed to the God of heaven." He was provoked as a man, was provoked as a cultivator, as a protector, as the foundation of the human race. He was so provoked that he did something. He stood up. And I'm saying to us, friends, we must admit that we need help. We must admit that we need God. This man, through fasting and praying, he was admitting that this is beyond my control. I cannot be able to do it on my own. I really need God to help me. I really need God to come to my aid. And I'm saying to us, friends, it lays a demand on us to do something about the situation that we see, about what surrounds us. Like I said, the characteristics of the kingdom are informed by the character of the king. So the world is exactly like the man, or like its man. The community is like its man. The family is like its man. And it's important for us to deal with resetting this gadget, which is called man. And when we reset, we lose some of the data. But that is very much important for us to lose some of the things by resetting, so that if we reset it, we'll be able to find ourselves. We'll be able to find our place. Have you ever realized that in the Old Testament, God is referred to as God Almighty, the Lord of hosts? But have you realized that when Jesus came into the picture, he comes in and he talks of God as the Father. He says, when you pray, say, "Our Father who art in heaven." But one very interesting thing, the last book, which is called the last book to the intertestamentary period, which is between Malachi and Matthew, that book says something so beautiful and so powerful about fathers and children. It says in Malachi chapter number 4, verse 5 to 6, it says, "Behold, I will send Elijah, or I will send you Elijah the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he will turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to the fathers, lest I come and strike the earth with a curse." Friends, I want you to know, when fathers and children relationship is not restored, it's not healed, there is a curse that hits the land. And that is very much important. Hence the violence, hence the rape, hence the killing, hence the sexual perversions, hence all this evil. Father sleeping with their own daughter, and grandfather sleeping with their own granddaughter. All this evil is because if the relationship of fathers and children are not restored, a curse comes and horrible things begin to happen to the world. And that is why I want to encourage us as men to take our rightful place, to rise up like Nehemiah, to do something with this whole thing, and to rise up. That is why it's us who must rise up and begin to talk to our children. Because today, a young girl of 13 years get pregnant of a bigger boy or a bigger man or an older man, and all these things, you can see that something is broken, and that is the relationship of fathers and children, which must be restored, which must be dealt with. And what kind of a world are we headed to? And some of you, my fathers who are watching now, you know what? I cry deep in my heart because you are fathers of daughters. You know what? If we don't do something, if we don't prepare this world, if we don't work on, if we don't seek for the healing of the world, what is going to happen of your daughters? What is going to happen of your children? And some of fathers, which is so scary, those children that you're going out with, those young girls who are the age of your grandchildren or the age of your children, going out with them, do you really realize what is happening? Do you really know that it's somebody's daughter? Do you really know that it's somebody's granddaughter? And I'm saying to us as men, all this evil, all this wrong that is happening among in the world today, it's not perpetrated by strangers, it's perpetrated by men. And I'm saying it's time we rise up, and the real men must rise up, and we must be able to deal with this thing, and we must create an environment and an atmosphere that says no to such evils. And I'm saying to us brothers, I'm saying to us friends, one other thing that is also very true, let me say it before I close. You know what? Some of us who have got wives that are so unfaithful, and it breaks one's heart. But let me tell you where it comes from. It comes from a place where this young girl from age 13 had boyfriends lying to him time and again. And by the time you marry them at 20 or at 25, you know what? They've had a multiple relationships. When they go this side, there's an ex, there's an ex, there's an ex, there's an ex. And this is the reality that we are facing. And if we don't do something, I fear what is going to happen with our children. Because you know what? Girls, they come with a record, and this record, I don't blame them, because they were not in a relationship with themselves. They were in a relationship with a boy, and this time around a bigger boy, an elderly boy, and some of them gray-headed boys like me. And because of that, we are corrupting the minds of the young girls. That's why even some young girls, when they look at me, they just see another boyfriend. They just say, this one. Why? Because we have destroyed their respect. And I'm saying, let us allow the spirit of Nehemiah to arise from within, and then let us do something about this thing. And when we start doing something through the conversation, friends, I can tell you, what we don't confront will finish us, but what we confront, I'm telling you, we are going to defeat, we are going to overcome one day. It may take us some time, but you know what? You can finish the elephant as you eat it piece by piece. And I'm saying to us friends, I'm saying to us my brothers, let's join hands. This is the conversation with Pastor Strike. And I pray for you, my friends. I pray for you that God will help us as we put our hearts together. Please contact me on the numbers on the screen. We are working on a system where we can be able to chat as the conversation, as men dealing with issues. But today, allow me to stop here. Next week, we are going to continue. But I feel this one, we really need to take some time on it. And friends, we are going, what you say informs what I prepare. And I want us to continue communicating and talking. And now I cannot respond now to your comments even as they are going through, because you know what, I have to dish out what I have for today. But next week I'll be dealing with those comments, and I appreciate those comments. And I'm saying, let's keep talking, let's keep talking, let's keep talking. But the relationship between fathers and children and fathers must be restored, both boys and girls. It is our responsibility as fathers to work on those relationships, to heal those relationships, so that the world can become a better place. One day at a time, you and I can make a difference. Thank you so very much for watching the conversation with Pastor Strike. Love you with the love of the Lord, brother.